trust you to give me the truth.
The end of season 7 had been very strange because we'd had to write and shoot the finale not knowing if it was the end of the TV series.
David's part in the show and in the future of the show were sort of uncertain as we wrapped. Would he come back completely or would he come back part-time?
We had to create a new character, which was the John Doggett character.
Tough guy, street guy.
Blue collar, smart, tough.
By the books, team player. Unlike Mulder, who was always the outsider who reveled in his place in the basement in the FBI.
Just because I'm assigned to the X-Files, you want me to think like Scully and Mulder would. You got the wrong guy. I need facts, not wild ideas. He's a skeptic. He's a knee-jerk skeptic. He doesn't really believe in any of the things that the X-Files investigate. It's why I can't stand here and listen to all this mumbo-jumbo about spaceships.
When Robert walked in the door, I think we all just said, this is him. This is John Doggett.
The fans were going to have a reaction to anyone that we brought in. And so we didn't want someone who would be considered to be a love interest.
We knew that a huge section of the fan base wouldn't want to like him, wouldn't want him on the show, would be resentful that we were going forward without Mulder at all. And our strategy to deal with that was to acknowledge all of those things.
You might have just introduced yourself.
Well, I was getting around to it.
Nice to meet you, Agent Doggett.
Having water thrown in my face was no problem because I think that's what every X-File fan wanted to have happen. So Chris and Frank just went ahead and did it for him.
And say, we don't want you, we want Mulder, go away. And the fact that he just lets all that roll past him, and it's, I understand, but here I am, I'm here to do a job, and then slowly gets pulled into the X-Files and comes to care about Scully, and being a character of integrity, cares about the truth.
He's slowly starting to be a little bit more willing to accept some of the things that they've experienced, looking at things in a different way than he has before. This has been insightful.
Let's continue the show. Let's see if we can move on to another generation. And so we knew, really from the beginning of season 8, that we were going to introduce the Monica Reyes character. She wasn't named at that point, but we knew another female character was going to be introduced who would be a believer, as Mulder had been a believer.
You believe in extraterrestrials?
Let's just say I don't not believe.
As Robert Patrick was unlike Mulder, we needed someone who was unlike Scully. And we imagined this character who was kind of, in a weird way, dippy.
She's quite different than Mulder or Scully or John Doggett.
She would believe anything. She was open, and she was a person with a big heart.
Her name's Monica Reyes. I worked a case with her once.
She's FBI?
Yeah.
I think that Reyes is very Mulder-esque in her optimism and her faith and in her enjoyment of entertaining the possibility.
She was the Mulder to Doggett's Scully.
A lot of people wanted that part, but Annabeth just has this very winning quality. She has a fantastic smile and laugh, and she's absolutely disarming.
When my agents called and said they're looking for a new female agent on the X-Files, it was, not a question in my mind to jump at the chance and try to fight for the role.
She was not like a character we've had before. She's a little neurotic, a little scattered, a little quirky. She's just lighter than Mulder and Scully.
My very first day on the X-Files it's quite memorable, I should say, because it actually wasn't in the daytime.
First shot, 4 o'clock in the morning. I bet she loved it. Welcome to X-Files.
I didn't know anyone. I was a bit nervous. And then I had this stunt of running down a very steep hill and, saying, "Stop there! I'm a federal agent!" It was quite exciting.
A friend had given me this Paul Winter album when I was a kid, and it had whale sounds on it incorporated into the music, and I always thought it was always sort of an interesting thing, and it was probably kooky, but I just thought it was kind of much like her character to sort of appreciate that.
The show could go on. We'd have 2 viable, interesting new characters. and we'd be protecting the Scully-Mulder partnership. We wouldn't be destroying that.
We had to change the titles because we had a new actor coming in.
We had never changed the opening titles before season 8, and it was superstition as much as anything else.
It was kind of sacrilege to touch the titles, even though they felt a little dated.
We then thought, you know, here's an opportunity to customize them for where we are in the series.
It was a chance to sort of reinvigorate the show at a time when the show was changing. It brought, of course, torrents of protests that we had changed the unchangeable.
We added some new images at the end involving Scully's pregnancy and suggesting in an abstract way Mulder's absence. You know, the shot of David Duchovny falling away from camera.
Within was really a sort of a turning point episode for us. It was the first episode where we knew we were going to go without Mulder.
They're not going to find Mulder this way. You know that, and I know that.
I told you last night I will find him. I'm going to do that. Okay?
Mark Snow came up with what I thought was one of the most brilliant things that he did.
We want to do something that becomes Scully's theme, something that would sort of take Gillian through this journey of having to consider the loss of Mulder.
Scully's alienation and loneliness and fear. And I thought the idea of using a solo female voice, where there was certainly no lyrics, but just sort of incantations. Chris heard it. There was one minor change he had. She was saying the phrase, "We are near, we are near." And he said, just make that so you don't hear the words. Make it so it's almost like some oscillating sound.
They are looking to find the whereabouts of good, hard proof that in this case exists in a person, in a boy named Gibson Praise.
The whole sequence with Gibson Praise out in the desert happened to take place during an incredible heat wave.
It was like 130, 125, 130. It was hot. I mean, even at night, which we couldn't wait for, you know, as soon as the sun set, it's still, I mean, I think the lowest it ever got was like 100 degrees.
And we filmed in the Anza Borrego State Park, which is a magnificent part of California. It's little known, really, to most of the general public, and it's got magnificent badlands and a place we shot called Split Mountain.
Agent Mulder, stay there!
There's a magnificent canyon, as it suggests, a split mountain which winds snake-like through the mountains there. It's literally maybe 50 feet across and then several hundred feet high. It's just gorgeous.
When we showed the two-part episode in a special screening at the Academy Theater, I think everybody took a real sense of pride that they had bared the heat and had braved the elements and had come back with, I think, a terrific two-part episode.
Season 8, walking into that show, not only did we have the challenge of setting up Robert Patrick as a character, but we had the opportunity to figure out how to help get David off the show, and torturing him, I guess, was Chris's answer to that.
Sky! Sky!
The alien torture machine was kind of a challenge because it was one of the few times when we were able to use motion control in the series.
A motion control camera is on a computerized module. You run the camera through the same motion time and again, and you keep adding elements.
We shot a blank plate for just the set and the lighting elements that were in the set, and then 5 different passes, once with the bounty hunter in a different position for each pass. By blending all these passes together, we were able to clone the alien bounty hunter.
We all see super tech now, but the idea of low tech was much more interesting to me and much more visual. To take elements of rock and steel and chisel them into interesting shapes. I found the backdrop from Alien, and Bill Rowe lit it very dimly and put it behind. And it was just this rotating platform with this humongous dental piece that kind of could rotate around as well and pull his face apart.
We devised a laser effect where a device is going into his mouth and some other kind of weird lens effects that were going over the scene to kind of give it an alien, otherworldly quality.
I had to set up a very, very highly magnified lens to try to get this little device coming right at us. It was very, very scary. We ended up putting some really cool sound effects in there. The little servos and motors.
Matthew Mungo, he's the one that sculpted that. He's our makeup effects lab at WM Creations. He made the cheeks, put the hooks in them, and they actually would stretch out. David sat pretty good through all that.
I just wanted to make a really all-out, scary, creepy, get under your skin, literally and figuratively, sort of an X-File.
Oh, hold on.
One of my favorite movies of all time is Bad Day at Black Rock, starring Spencer Tracy. It's a wonderful movie where this strong, silent guy goes into this little town in the middle of the American desert, middle of nowhere. Everyone in the town is sort of odd.
Your life is about to take a wonderful turn.
And it was really the inspiration for it.
Oh! What did you put in me? I'm gonna get every last one of you bastards!
That was an animatronic slug.
No. No! I'm pregnant! No! No, don't do this!
And it was pretty intricate because she was laying on a bed, and what we did is put a false, like, fiberglass back over her, and that's where the slug had run up.
I had to shoot shots of Doggett putting his knife into the back of Scully's neck and prying this stuff out.
Just do it, Doggett!
I actually had cameramen start to lose it almost.
That idea began because I was actually on a rafting trip, which I'd never been on a rafting trip before, with a guy I didn't know very well, a group of friends, and this was a friend of a friend, and he was saying that there was an image that freaked him out, which was opening a tube of toothpaste and having blood come out. And I thought, wow, that is a weird image, but that's impossible. And I thought, how could you create a story where blood comes out of a tube of toothpaste? And there really is no real-world scenario I could come up with where that would happen. And so I started to think of dreams and nightmares. Then the story actually came to me very quickly about a cult trying to reach a higher plane and instead stumbling on a lower plane, you know, on a darker plane. Or what if the higher plane is a darker plane? You know, what if, you know, we think we're reaching up and we're reaching down?
Mr. Bormanis, Andre Bormanis?
I've known Andre Bormanis since grade school.
He's a convicted drug dealer that served time with Tibbet.
In Phoenix, Arizona.
Dr. Bormanis.
Andre is a scientist who formerly worked for NASA.
Planes of being that our feeble brain chemistry cannot begin to imagine.
And I just looked for a way to kill him on the show.
We spent the whole day shooting inserts of rats. We had 500 rats there. They scatter to the walls. They're getting under the bed. They're getting under the toilet. I literally have the trainers throwing rats out, saying, "Get them in the middle. We want to see the rats." Here's the dirty little secret about visual effects. We had a great many hours painting out rat droppings in that shot because that's all you saw on the floor.
I was eager in that episode to use the Lone Gunman characters and have them meet Doggett because I knew I wouldn't have much of Scully.
Agent Scully asked us to give her assistance, not to go through her files.
Like she's gonna care.
Yeah, right.
No one knew how to write that episode because we didn't have Gillian Anderson.
I'm sorry, Agent Doggett. I can't go.
Agent Scully?
Something unexpected has come up.
So it was sort of like, well, you've got this brand new character of John Doggett, and you don't have your continuing character. What are you going to do with this story? And it was sort of a problem. And then it became this incredible bonus plus great opportunity for Robert Patrick's character and for Robert Patrick, the actor.
I'm not going to let you do that.
I'm sorry. I'm not going to kill her. You are.
That's my favorite episode, one of my favorite episodes, because we had a chance to really be vulnerable and do some things that we don't normally do.
I'm not sure I'm awake.
Bad Law came from a little bit of desperation on my part, actually. I was working on an episode of The Lone Gunmen, and I needed to have a script very soon on my next X-File. I remember walking through the Vancouver airport, and it just occurred to me, what if somebody who came up and asked me for money was actually a bad guy?
We ended up shooting it in a cruise line terminal down in the docks, which had a sort of a rather dated feel, which is something you tend to find if you look at newsreel footage of India. They always have old English cars from the 60s. Cruise line terminal in Long Beach was perfect.
I remember calling Rick Milliken, our casting director, saying, I need a small Indian man with no legs. They came up with an amazing actor named Deep Roy. He was one of the people behind R2-D2 and Empire Strikes Back. The way that we made him look like he had no legs, they made a special cart that has a false bottom. For very specific moments, we would blue screen the front of the cart, and then later our computer graphics people would put in the street or whatever it was under it.
It was a squeak that had to let us know that it was him. It had to scare us. It had to be creepy. We came up with just the right squeak that John said, okay, that's the one.
Crying out loud. Listen, fella, I already gave.
There's one thing about this episode that I'm sort of proud of is that people often told me that it's probably the most disgusting thought they've ever had, that this little man would actually enter your body and travel around inside you. And my original idea was there's a beggar with no legs who can actually shrink himself and climb inside your ear. And Chris Carter, and this is why he's Chris Carter, he said, no, 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 I know what's better.
Chris really felt, since it was the end of the Mulder-Scully era, that we should return to the beginning.
They took so many this time.
And meet these characters again and return to the abductions that had begun the television show.
No, I understand.
Billy Miles turns out to be sort of a central figure in that Billy's experience ultimately becomes Mulder's experience, and then could that be the experience for us all?
When we did Dead Alive, that is the episode we won the Emmy for. We used the photo double quite a bit in some wide shots, and also in the Ambarium, that's a photo double with a mask of David Duchovny. It was a brilliant job because no one knew that.
We had to make Billy Miles look like he was bloated, so we had to immediately foam up a body.
For a certain enviable post-mortem intumescence, this man is unremarkable.
This shows a combination of everybody working together because we have to get it done so fast.
Billy Miles went through several stages. He wakes up on the autopsy table and scares the man. So we had to make it just so his lips would move a little bit. We wanted him shiny, kind of wet looking. Then when he's in the hospital, we did a couple of different looks because he's starting to dry out, and this is building up to shedding of the skin. So then we start putting skin on top of skin that would start peeling off.
Once we made the appliances, they were then taken to the set, and Sherry and I and a whole crew would apply the appliances to the actors.
We had to come up with shredding flesh when he stepped into the shower.
Matthew formulated some gelatins.
In between the actor's skin and the appliance was a series of tubes that we pumped goo and also warm water through. And also with the water from the shower hitting the outside of the appliance, it made the gelatin appliance basically shred. And the actor moved his foot a little bit so it shredded into the drain of the shower.
We put some strawberry jam in there. We did all kinds of things. It was pretty cool.
It comes back fresh and scrubbed and looking like he's fine when in fact he's not himself anymore.
These episodes, you know, they deal with Scully's pregnancy in a way that, you know, was set up the previous season.
Alien babies, birthed by human mothers desperate to conceive.
Oh, God. I was hoping this was all a dream.
We actually started playing with the idea that this was an alien baby, something we discussed way back when, seasons 1 and 2, as a way to deal with Jillian's actual pregnancy. Now it had come forward in the show and become part of the show.
Breathing, Dana, keep breathing. Please don't let them take it. Hush.
Scully's baby was played by my son, Jerry.
And he looks suspiciously like Assistant Director Skinner.
It was really a special moment to have him brought on set and have Mulder and Scully, the characters who I'd lived with for so long, to be holding this little baby in awe and it to be mine was just amazing.
The 7th season of the show, before Mulder and Scully finally smooched.
We all knew it had to happen. This was going to be it. This was the culmination of their relationship. We'd been playing all year, is Mulder the father of the baby? Is Mulder not the father of the baby? And this was our way, without actually saying it. The love that we've always hoped was there is there.
Here we were giving everyone what they had kind of longed for, what they had been teased about, what they had been cheated of in the movie, what they had been given in a kind of bogus scene in season 6. We gave them the real thing here, and they gave a passionate kiss, and I think that David and Jillian were up for it. I mean, I saw them, they were kind of giddy and giggling before it happened, and it was hot.
The truth we both know.
Which is what?
At a certain point, you need to close chapters and open new ones.
We were heading forward with a David Duchovny-less, Mulder-less X-Files, and it was a funny place to be. It was sweet and sad, and I think that everyone, you know, rallied and did a great job and made it possible for him to return, to want to return at the end of season 9.